So I'm back onto the 110 project again, and I've got the seat base done. What I've done is I've covered it in stone chip protector, and the reason for that is that it wasn't the best. It was all scruffed up and things like this, and you don't really see much on these anyway, and all I'm going to do is put paint on. I'm not going to put carpets on, it's just going to get painted up. So yeah, stone chip protector inside, outside. It's a poor man's rhino guard type of thing, but it does work, and when you see it painted up it looks quite nice. And you can see the patchwork where the handbrake used to go was nice. Like I said, this front, the whole front, is off a 300 TDI, and the back is off a 2.5 normally aspirated diesel, so we just joined the two pieces together. So that worked out quite nice. Just wanted to quick say that, and this is the stuff we use, this rocker panel protector. That's the stuff. Thin it down and you'll get a nice finish. If you do it straight out of the can, sometimes it's a bit thick. I put it on a little bit too thick on the front there, so it doesn't look all that good. Just a little tipette as well, when you're doing things like this, instead of running backwards and forwards to the wall, put the regulator on the gun itself. It's a bit cumbersome, but at least you can play around with the actual spray pressure while you're doing it, instead of running backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. So there's a little tip. Next thing, I have a rear tub. Now, this is in a bit of a sad state. I must have had this 10 years in the garden. Well, you can see, look how many leaves are in it. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it down, because I only want this bit. I don't want this bit, I want this bit. Hopefully it's all going to come out in one. You see, this had a sliding drawer on here, a sliding cupboard, and that was to put propane tanks in, because this truck at some point must have been like a gas board truck, and they used propane for soldering and doing pipework, so it's all open, vented at the bottom, so you couldn't have a propane tank in a vehicle because it could leak. So they put them in these sliding cupboards. You can get easy access. They're actually not a bad idea. I think I'm going to try and keep as much of that as I can, because I might put it into another truck and remake the steelwork, because the steelwork's a bit, well, seen better days. So yeah, so that's the job today. I brought it in, I'm trying to defrost it, and I'm going to cut that down, then get rid of this box and start to work on this. Alright, so that's what we're up to next. And again, the only bits I need to do some decent paint work on is these outsides. The back nobody will see, but I'll just stone chip it to get rid of all those scratches and things. I'll probably do a stone chip in the inside as well. I don't particularly like stone chip, but hey, it's a pickup. It's a rough truck, and I'm not going to spend hours doing fancy body work on something that's just going to be knocked about. Alright. So I've actually got the seat bulkhead off the rear of that tub I was working on yesterday, and I've cut a little bit more off than needed, so but this side is going to be perfect. I just need to trim this all the way up here and square off this piece, and then put the corners on, sandblast it, get it ready for paint. You've got to take a lot of bits and pieces off. You see there was a lot of corrosion in this bottom corner. This side's not so bad, but what I'm going to do is I take all these little brackets off here. You don't need these. Take all this lot off, and then I make a reinforcement plate out of steel to go here at 90 degrees, so it's bolted on here. It's bolted on here where these bolts went through, bolted on there. It's nice and solid, and it's nice and structurally sound. So that's what we're up to, and when it's finished, it'll look really good. It'll be ready just to put on. So it's a bit of a mess about, but I had one. The rest of it was rubbish. So yeah, let's see what progression we can get today. Yesterday I was working on this rear panel. I think we'll call it a seat bulkhead, for want of a better word. I did quite a lot to it, got it to where I wanted it to be. Now it looks a bit of a mess, because yesterday I brush painted some epoxy primer on this piece here. Now this is a piece I made as a reinforcement to go under here. So I took all the little brackets off, drilled all the holes. Remember, we had to make a template of these holes here because that bit's missing. I'm going to patch that piece in. Wish I had a TIG welder. But so I brush primed some epoxy primer on there, just principally just to stop any corrosion or limit corrosion. And this morning what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around with some seam sealer and then fasten that on, and then I'm going to start to prep it up for primer, or maybe even stone chip today. As I said to you before in a previous video, I don't particularly like stone chip, but look at the state of it. I mean, what else can I do? I mean, look at the state of the... It's all chipped. I sandblasted this outside yesterday. It was about -5 and snowing, but it had to be done. And I just got rid of all the loose dirt and paint and things like this, and degreased it. And like I say, I brush primed some pieces on. But when you see it when it's finished, you'll understand what I'm trying to do. And so what my argument is today, why I'm going to do it in stone chip, is because it'll have a nice textured finish on there. But nobody sees it. It's behind the seats. You'll only see this bit. And it's going to get all banged around and messed around with, so I can't justify sanding and cleaning and, you know, filling all them scratches in and spending a good part of 2 or 3 days getting this ready for nothing really. I've got to find a patch to go on here. I don't know why that's missing. I was thinking about putting an air vent in there, you know, like with a flappy thing, so you could get air out, but because we're recirculating the air and the heat, it doesn't really matter.